41. 무형자산.
The development costs, the client has recognized as of now, are labor costs to members belonging to the laboratory of the company. Ordinary research and development costs in S&A expenses are supplies expenses, patent application fees and others spent by the laboratory.
Right. I've gone through the breakdown of the development costs and it seems that there are about 3 projects in progress in the lab at the moment. What I'm wondering about is to understand the extent of their technical feasibility. As you are aware, there should be the technical feasibility, and a market existent for the product to be able to have it accounted for as intangible assets.
I agree. The CEO of the company firmly believes that the 3 projects in progress are all going to hit the jackpot. In around September, when the development is expected to be complete, the client also has a plan to supply the products to Hyundai Group.
Oh really? Do you have any documents backing up that plan?
Yes, I do. I do have the documents prepared by our team members last month, pulling all-nighters, under the CEO's instructions. It illustrates technical feasibility of each project and its future usage plans, prepared in the PowerPoint format. The CEO has it always with him whenever he meets people working for Hyundai Group.
Could you please send that to me so I can take a look?
This document is strictly confidential and I cannot send it to you via email. There is a copy on the desk of the accounting team head and I'll bring it up for you to take a look at for a moment. It includes the current state of progress by each project, plans on how to propose to the client at the completion of development stage.
Sounds great. Let me go through it and we'll discuss again soon.
회계 재무세무에 특화된 영어를 학습하실 분은 유저씨마켓을 방문해주세요. 42. 매입 채무.
Did you include the account payables when selecting samples for the AR and AP confirmations?
Yes, I did. I mainly selected creditors whose amount have decreased rapidly and whose amount became 0 after having had some last year.
Great. We also need to do the unrecorded liability test. Could you go through the cash withdrawals for the 2-week period? After end of December and select items of which corresponding accounts are debited as expenses.
Okay. What is this for, by the way?
This is to ascertain whether there are any items to be accounted for as liabilities as of the year end by going through the cash withdrawals, of which corresponding accounts are debited as expenses for a certain period after the year end. For example, if the inventory purchase payments were made in early January, the AP should be offset. But, if the client expensed it instead, we may doubt that the client has unrecorded that AP as of the year end, which should have been recorded.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Be sure you don't miss out the cutoff test on the AP, too. The client is purchasing all of their inventory on a free onboard condition, which means that inventory purchased before the year end, yet still in transit, should be included in AP. Please look into this and let me know.
No problem.
회계 재무세무에 특화된 영어를 학습하실 분은 유저씨마켓을 방문해주세요. 43. 차입금.
You got the average balance sheet from the client, right? Could you perform the interest expense overall test based on the average BS?
Could I just use the average borrowing based on the formula, sum of beginning and ending balance, divided by 2?
You may as well do so, but I guess you'll come up with a big difference from what the client has recognized as interest expense as a result. The formula you mentioned is a very common textbook method, and if you apply that in real business and use it as the average balance, the accuracy would not be at the level where it should be. That's why the average BS is widely used. Regarding the completeness, did you go over the information provided by Korea Federation of Banks and have the confirmations sent to all financial institutions?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. I'm sure you'll be able to tie the balances out easily. But I want you to go over the collaterals pledged to the financial institutions on borrowings very thoroughly, because this is a must-disclosure item. With regard to the approval of the borrowings, minutes of board of directors should be reviewed and I'll be the one who will be covering that. Oh, by the way, there are a number of long-term liability items that are classified into their current portion. Please check whether the classification is appropriate for those that are due within a year from the year end.
Absolutely. Well, how can I come up with the increase and decrease value separately in the borrowings lead schedule?
You should take a look at the trial balance of totals. As borrowing is a credit account, the sum of credit less the beginning value should be the increase amount. And the sum of debit should be the decrease amount itself. What were you doing in accounting principles class?
Aha, I see. It's been a long time since I've gone through the basics.
Haha. These types of stuff are simple but can easily be overlooked.
회계 재무세무에 특화된 영어를 학습하실 분은 유저씨 마켓을 방문해 주세요. 44. 자본.
Can you confirm that the increase of the retained earnings agrees to the net income in place? It is a must to have a reconciliation procedure on this in the accounting worksheet. If these do not agree, we'll definitely get into trouble in reviewing the statements of changes in equity.
Yes. I made sure that they agree.
I have gone through the minutes of the board of directors and it looks like the client has increased the capital in August. Par value was 1,000 Korean won per share. Issue value was at 5,000 won. Which means the paid-in capital in excess of par value must have increased a lot. I'm sure you'll be able to do the recalculation on this in no time, and please have it documented.
Sure. I'll have them documented.
By the way, some members of the staff have exercised stock options during November, and I just received an email from the client, including the accounting treatment considering the fair value per stock and the exercise price. Could you also please go through this and let me know if it's handled properly?
Certainly.
회계 재무세무에 특화된 영어를 학습하실 분은 유저씨 마켓을 방문해 주세요. 45. 급여.
The gross salary on the payroll ledger does not agree to the salary on PL. Why is that?
It's because the salary on PL that you are looking at is not a part of the salary included in the cost of goods manufactured. In other words, salary included in the cost of goods manufactured is a part of the gross salary on the payroll ledger, and that's where the difference came from. If you open up the breakdown of the cost of goods manufactured, you'll see the details that are accounted for as salary. If you add that amount to the salary on the S&G expenses, they will agree to the total salary on the payroll ledger.
Oh, I get it.
While you're at it, could you select 2 people in the payroll ledger from each grade who get highly paid and ask for expenditure evidences? This is to examine whether salaries were actually paid.
Sure. I'm working on the analytical procedures on payroll at the moment, and the analysis is divided into administration and production positions. How can I look for the average salary and personnel increase rate?
Regarding the average salary increase rate, I understand there's an approval request on salary increase retained by the client. You should ask for it and go over it. On the personnel increase rate, I think you could compare the payroll ledger obtained this time to the one attached in the prior year's working paper. See what I mean?
Aha. I see your point.
While you are working on the analytical procedures, please take note of the extra bonus paid in late August, as the product P was a big hit in the Chinese market early this year. So if you just simply consider the salary and personnel increase rate on prior year's salary, you're likely to come up with huge differences.
I see. I'll take the extra bonus into consideration and come up with an estimate. We'll let you know if I get stuck again.
회계 재무세무에 특화된 영어를 학습하실 분은 유저씨 마켓을 방문해 주세요. 46. 현금 흐름표.
Sarah, are you done with reviewing the statements of cash flows?
Yes, I just finished it and included the reviews on the accounting worksheet. You may have it now.
All right. Let me take a look. Investment made on the available for sale. This one is obvious. I'm sure it was classified as investing activities. Did you include the transfer of construction in progress to machinery and buildings as non-cash transactions?
Yes, I did.
The increase in leasehold deposits as the client moved their office this year. Has this been classified as operating or investing cash flows?
As investing cash flows.
There was a decrease of other accounts payable, 6 billion Korean won in total. 5 billion out of that is due to the payment of tangible assets purchased prior year, and thus should be classified as investing activities instead of operating. Let me correct 5 billion to a cash outflow in investing activities.
Oh, my bad.
It's all right. And the amortization of present value discount on debentures is included in the cell, interest expense without cash outflow, right?
That's correct.
It looks like the classification of long-term borrowings to its current portion amounting to 700 million Korean won is in good shape, too. Good. Guess everything's looking great. Let me handle the accounting worksheet as this version being the latest. Job very well done.
회계 재무세무에 특화된 영어를 학습하실 분은 유저씨 마켓을 방문해 주세요. 47. 업무 현황 보고 중간 보고.
Thank you for sparing your precious time. I'm Katie Cho from Best Accounting Corporation and the lead director of the IFRS 9 conversion services that will replace the IAS 39 financial instruments recognition and measurement. We kicked off the project in early December and as of end of December. I'd like to give a progress report of the work performed so far and discuss future plans with you. As you see on the screen, we are currently in the middle of preparing the preliminary analysis on GAAP Generally Accepted Accounting Principles. Differences, and there are some differences in the progress rate depending on the items. But in overall we are moving right on schedule and we'd like to mention that the project is about 60% complete as of end of December. We will be pushing us forward in the progress. And plan to have a briefing session on the main contents of the preliminary analysis on GAAP differences before end of January. From February onwards, after we're through with the session, we expect to work on the alternative analysis to look for alternatives to be suggested.
Okay. Regarding the preliminary analysis on GAAP differences, are there many items that differs from the existing IAS 39?
Yes. IAS 39 can be described as rule-based, multiple impairment models, and complicated reclassification rules. Whereas IFRS 9 can be described as principle-based, one impairment model, and business model-driven reclassification rules. Besides, expected credit losses are updated at each reporting date for new information and changes in expectations. Even if there has not been a significant increase in credit risk, and there lies the difference between the existing IAS 39.
Oh, I get it. According to the progress status page that you've just shown us, I was wondering what the reasons are for the delay. Particularly in the definition of business model section.
It is taking us a lot of time and effort to get a clear picture of the exact process. As to how the company manages its financial assets in order to generate cash flows. We are very busy doing a lot of interviews with the company staff that we believe to have the best knowledge in helping us define the business model.
I see.
Do you have any further questions or comments? Silence. For your reference, I will share the progress report file with you all by email. Really appreciate your taking the time to attend this meeting.
회계 재무세무에 특화된 영어를 학습하실 분은 유저씨 마켓을 방문해 주세요. 48. 컨퍼런스 콜 특정 이슈 협의.
Welcome to the teleconferencing system. Please enter the bridge number for your conference now. Entering the bridge number. Welcome to the audio conferencing system. Please enter your passcode followed by the pound key. Entering the passcode.
Hello? This is Minho Park from Best Accounting Corporation Seoul office.
Hello Minho. This is Sonia from Best Accounting Corporation Law office.
Hi Sonia. How are you?
Great, thanks.
Is anyone else from the LA team on the line?
Yeah, I have my senior associate Nicole, who's working for me on the line as well.
Hi Minho, this is Nicole also from the LA team.
Hi Nicole, nice to hear from you. Guess it's the first time talking to you on a call. Anyway, thank you all for taking the time to call in. The purpose of this call is to make clear on some of the responses of the audit instructions that you sent back to us regarding the ABC Holdings Group.
Okay, go ahead.
The first question I have is on the cash the DEF Limited, one of the subsidiaries of the ABC Holdings Group holds. How did you come up with the amount of the restricted deposits?
The amount was provided by the client by means of a bank statement. We are expected to receive the bank confirmations soon and we will double-check the restricted amount with those once again and will let you know.
Good. Now the second one. How did you gain comfort on the amount of the intercompany borrowings between the DEF Limited and HIJ Limited?
We obtained the related party transaction summary from our client, DEF Limited, and cross-checked with data provided by the auditors of the HIJ Limited. The auditors of the HIJ Limited are also from the Best Law office and they were very cooperative in providing us with what we needed.
Sounds great. Are there any other issues that you think I need to be aware of?
Well, the client is expecting a negative decision by the local court regarding the pollution litigation they faced a couple of years ago. Looks like they will be facing some fines. We'll let you know once the final decision is made.
Okay, keep me posted on that one. Looks like we're done for today's call. Next call would be sometime early next month. I will send you guys an invitation.
Sounds fine. Thank you Minho and have a nice day.
Appreciate your time guys. Bye.
회계 재무세무에 특화된 영어를 학습하실 분은 유저씨 마켓을 방문해 주세요. 49. 고객에게 추가 자료 요청.
Hi Claire. This is Minho Park from Best.
Hello Minho.
I'm working on the recalculation of the annual monthly leave benefits at the moment. And found out that there's something unusual with the hire dates of the employees. It looks like all the hire dates fall within a year from the reporting date.
Really? It sounds as if the dates are all interim payment dates. Let me download the data once again and send it over.
Okay, and I guess I haven't obtained the prepaid expense recalculation file yet. I do have one for accrued income though.
Oh I see. Let me go check.
Last but not least, I have a couple of questions on the market approach applied in the valuation report on fair value of equity securities.
Oh, it's hard for me to answer your questions on that one. I think you'd better reach out to Kachi-song from KISS Bond Rating Services. You want me to give you his contact information?
That'd be great. Thanks.
회계 재무세무에 특화된 영어를 학습하실 분은 유저씨 마켓을 방문해 주세요. 50. 까다로운 고객 설득하기.
Hello Claire. This is Minho from Best.
Phew, hi there. Are you calling about the 300 sales parties and their tax invoices?
Yeah, right. I've been calling for 2 days and your colleagues answered saying that you were always in a meeting.
Why on earth do you need these anyway? There are just too many and I cannot download 300 items by myself. And on top of that, it has a lot of personal information in it, requiring an approval by my team manager. Everyone at work is pretty sour due to the serious atmosphere and you are making my life hard.
I understand where you're coming from. But, these take up a very important part in our audit sales testing, and that's why I'm asking you the favor. 300 items may look excessive but I called once again as this procedure cannot be left out.
I understand where you're coming from too. I'm afraid I can never find time to do it this week. I will start working on them next Monday and will try to let you have them sometime next week.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
회계 재무세무에 특화된 영어를 학습하실 분은 유저씨 마켓을 방문해 주세요. 51. 의사결정 요청.
The client has a question on the impairment criteria of equity instruments. According to current accounting standards, if there is a significant or prolonged decline in the fair value in an equity instrument below its costs, impairment shall be recognized. In other words, if at least one of the two criteria is met, the amount basis and the period basis, impairment shall be recognized.
Yeah. I understand that's what the accounting standard says.
Yes. But the client is wondering whether it is possible for them to change their period basis from more than consecutive 9 months to more than consecutive 12 months.
What do their amount basis look like at the moment?
Decrease of fair value 50% below the cost. This policy is chosen by nearly all companies in the same industry and I think there's nothing wrong with it.
Would there be a problem if we let them change into more than 12 months, accounting standard-wise?
There is no specific instruction stated in the accounting standard. But it just states that inherent characteristics of the company and the industry should be considered.
Did you do a research of the industry practice on the impairment period policy?
Upon research of companies in the same industry, most companies have adopted the 9-month period.
Well, it looks like it's related to the acquired equity instrument of Nalum. This company was pretty successful in the past, but their stock prices began to fall gradually since last year. And it looks like the stock prices have been decreasing for the last 10 months in a row.
You're right. Upon review, the fair value did not decline below 50% of the cost, but the fair value has been on a prolonged decline for more than 10 months now. It is deemed to be appropriate to have the impairment loss recognized, but the client is being reluctant to do so. I also found out, while I was having lunch with the team manager of the client, that they are having big expectations on the new product planning to launch at the year-end. It seems that they expect to have their stock price rebounded with the launch of the new product. Do you think we should let them change the policy?
Let me talk to the client on this Nalum equity instrument. When did the client contact you?
They called late afternoon yesterday.
Right. I'll look into this and will let you know how it shall be treated.
회계 재무세무에 특화된 영어를 학습하실 분은 유저씨 마켓을 방문해 주세요. 52. 사내 업무 전화 걸기 심리실.
Hello? Is this Jiwon Um's line? This is Minho Park, Assurance Department 5.
Yes, this is she.
Oh, hello Jiwon. I made this call understanding that you are the internal expert regarding the disclosure of financial instruments. I have some questions on classification requirements of equity instrument as listed on IAS 32, paragraph 16. My client is about to issue a conditional equity instrument and my concern is whether this is an equity instrument or a financial liability.
The most important thing in classifying a financial instrument in equity is to substantially judge whether the instrument includes a contractual obligation to deliver cash or another financial asset to another entity, or not. Could tell me the main conditions of the conditional equity instrument about to be issued?
Sure. The maturity of this instrument is 30 years, but the issuance company has the choice to continuously extend the maturity, and the instrument holder has no right by any means to request a redemption. Regarding the interest of the instrument, the issuance company may cancel the payment of the dividends or interests at its own judgment. And it is specified that in this case the cancelled dividends or interests may be used to redeem other liabilities of the issuance company.
Okay. Judging from what I've heard so far, it seems that the issuance company does not have a contractual obligation on the principal and the interests. What approximately is the issuance amount and who's the engagement manager and the partner on this?
The issuance amount is 500 billion Korean won. Phil and Bong are the engagement manager and the partner on this.
That's a large amount. Could you draft a formal consultation, have it reviewed by Phil and Bong and submitted on the DB?
Sure. I'll prepare one and we'll let you see it. Thanks.
회계 재무세무에 특화된 영어를 학습하실 분은 유저씨 마켓을 방문해 주세요. 53. 금감원에 전화 걸기.
Yeri Kim, FSS Audit Review Department Team 2. How can I help you?
Hello. This is Minho Park from Best Accounting Corporation. I'd like to ask you a couple of questions on the scope of consolidation.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm the lead manager of a company that has a subsidiary holding 100% of its shares, and this subsidiary is subject to regulation on external audit and accounting, thus this subsidiary is being audited. By the way, there is a foreign company whose shares are held 100% by the subsidiary, meaning that this foreign company is a subsidiary of the subsidiary.
Right.
This foreign subsidiary is a newly established company, of which total assets sum only up to about 1 billion Korean won, hardly doing any business, thus not being audited. Even in this case, where this foreign subsidiary is not subject to regulation on external audit and accounting, should the foreign subsidiary be consolidated?
Yes, it should be. Being in scope of consolidation is one thing and being subject to regulation on external audit and accounting is another. Regardless of the size of the foreign subsidiary and it being under audit, this company should be in scope of consolidation as a general rule. Upon consolidation, equity method should be used for valuation, instead of cost method. Item 1 of para. 1 of Article 6 of Rules of Regulation on External Audit and Accounting is applicable. Could you look up the rules and check?
Oh, I see. I was mistaken. You saved me a big trouble. I'll have to look up the rules once again, get fully aware of them and should be able to inform the client. I appreciate your kindness.
회계 재무세무에 특화된 영어를 학습하실 분은 유저씨 마켓을 방문해 주세요. 54. 주석 리뷰.
There's a rounding difference between the sum of cash and cash equivalents in footnote 6 and the disclosed BS. Could you fix that?
Sure.
The amount of tangible assets acquired in footnote 10 agrees to the amount shown on the statements of cash flows, which is good. But the book value of disposals is 683,000 Korean won, and the cash inflow from disposal of tangible assets on the statements of cash flows is 700,000. Gain on disposal of tangible assets on these is 16,000, meaning that there is a rounding difference. Instead of changing the cash inflow 700,000 Korean won, adjust the gain on disposal of tangible assets to 17,000. As this is not directly shown on the disclosed is, and please apply 17,000 on the non-operating profit and loss footnote.
No problem.
In footnote 10, insurances for tangible assets, If the performance guarantee items are both 0 for current and previous year, please take that row out.
Roger that.
There's also a rounding difference between amortization in footnote 11 intangible assets and amortization in footnote 22 S&A expenses.
If that's adjusted, acquisition of intangible assets in footnote 11 will differ from the cash outflow in the statements of cash flows.
I guess so. In this case, agree the acquisition of intangible assets in the statements of cash flows to that in footnote 11, in the order of the audit report, and the amortization adjusted in footnote 11 shall be determined as the amortization in footnote 22, S&A expenses. Rounding difference in footnote 22 shall be adjusted in the others item or any other one that looks suitable.
Oh, that's a very good idea.
In footnote 28 borrowings, if you look inside the table, there is just an asterisk, but there's an asterisk with a 1 on the explanation beneath it. And in number 3 in notes of related parties, a dash is missing in the previous year cell. I assume this happened as this item is new this year. Please revise.
Oh, I see. Okay.
There seems to be a sum error in notes No. 30 corporate tax. Please look into this again.
Oops, my bad. Let me double check.
Hasn't the date of Board of Directors been determined yet? The date of Board of Directors in approval of issuance of financial statements is left empty.
I called the client and they said that the date is to be determined sometime next week. I'll fill in the date once I find out what it is.
회계 재무세무에 특화된 영어를 학습하실 분은 유저씨 마켓을 방문해 주세요. 55. 소송과 배상 청구.
We're planning to issue the audit report during next week, and did you get the updated litigation list from the client?
Yes. I checked that it was updated except for one case. I looked up the litigations once again, just in case, and there was one case where the verdict of the first trial was determined a couple of days ago. And I was wondering whether I should tell the client to have their financials adjusted or not.
How much is the damage? Let me take a look at the verdict.
Right. There you go. The damage is about 100 million Korean won and it is below materiality.
Did we get the letters from the legal counsel? What do they say?
This litigation is mentioned in the letter, but nearly as always. It has a vague phrase that they are unable to assess the outcome of the litigation and its estimate of the financial implication.
I see. We are very fortunate that the amount is not material, thus don't need to have it recognized. Please document that there were no exceptions noted as the damage amount is below materiality.
No problem.
회계 재무세무에 특화된 영어를 학습하실 분은 유저씨 마켓을 방문해 주세요. 56. 부정위험 징후 파악.
Hey Minho. It looks like only James alone has access to the company's cash. Even though Claire, who works for James, does work on cash with him, it's just James who has the control over the certificate and the password.
Looks like a situation with an inadequate segregation of duties.
Right. This raises doubts about the misuse of cash by James and we'd better perform a proof of cash test.
What do you mean by a proof of cash test?
This is a procedure to reconcile the receipts and disbursements of cash between the cash ledger provided by the client and the downloaded data logging onto the bank website. By preparing a 4-column bank reconciliation, also known as proof of cash. If James withdraws cash for misuse and puts it back in before closing, there'd be nothing wrong with the balance of the cash at closing. If a proof of cash is prepared and reconciliations made on the receipts and disbursements of cash, differences would be found which would be the amount misused.
I see your point. What if we find out that there are differences and James is deemed to be misusing cash?
Then, we have a serious issue. If that's the case, we should talk to James in depth. We may need to communicate with the engagement partner Bong or even with the CEO of the company. I don't want this to happen, but if misuse of cash is identified, we need to take measures for an improvement. Well then, could you come up with the proof of cash and let me know when you're done? Could you have this done by tomorrow?
Oh, tomorrow? Okay.
회계 재무세무에 특화된 영어를 학습하실 분은 유저씨 마켓을 방문해 주세요. 57. 계속기업에 대한 가정.
Regarding Pokemang Corporation, their capital was 5 billion Korean won as of prior year end, and even though they made a net profit of 15 billion this period, they reduced their capital at a staggering amount of 40 billion during the year. Which means that the capital is impaired at an approximate amount of 20 billion as of current year end. How did you review the going concern assumptions?
The client is in the real estate investment business and owns land and a building in Myeongdong. The client is leasing the building from the ground to the 6th floor as shopping areas. From 7th up to 25th floor, it was originally used as studio apartments, but it is now under renovation into a business hotel. Net profit came from the leasing of shopping areas and there were no revenues from the business hotel segment, which is the upper level of the building, as it's under construction.
The major shareholder went through the capital reduction even if the business has been weak. Was there an agreement from the creditors on this?
Yes, there was. I've gone through the documents on capital reduction and was able to find out that there was an agreement from the creditors. I also found on the internet that details of the capital reduction were announced on daily newspapers.
What does the expected revenues from the business hotel segment look like?
The construction of the business hotel segment is scheduled to be completed during June this year. And the client plans to open up the business for the public on July 1. The client has a plan to earn a revenue of 15 billion Korean won from leasing the shopping area and 7 billion from selling business hotel rooms, making a total revenue of 22 billion each year. I examined their plan and found out that business hotels have an average utilization rate of 75%. And that the hotel room prices are in line with those in the surrounding areas. For the result of the independent estimate performed by myself, it is expected to generate a revenue of 24 billion Korean won each year, which is about 2 billion more than what the client came up with. Therefore, would like to come to a conclusion that going concern assumption is deemed to be appropriate.
Okay, I get your point. Don't forget to attach the working papers on the going concern issue onto the DB. I'll go over it and have it signed off.
회계 재무세무에 특화된 영어를 학습하실 분은 유저씨 마켓을 방문해 주세요. 58. 특수관계자.
Regarding the explanations in the related party working paper for KDD Electronics. What is the increase in the purchase amount from one of the affiliates, KDD Systems?
That's the disbursement made in upgrading the ERP system this period. As a result of reviewing its contract, transactions have deemed to be made under normal market conditions, and are considered not to have been designed as a one-sided contract.
Are the drafts of the notes of the affiliates obtained? Did you reconcile the balances and transaction amounts among related parties?
Yes. I could confirm that the receivables and payables of the client reconcile to payables and receivables of related parties. The reason why the purchase of KDD Electronics does not reconcile to the sales of KDD Systems is that KDD Electronics recognized the purchase at once, whereas KDD Systems recognized their sales on an accrual basis.
Did you go over the list of major shareholders and the minutes of shareholders and board of directors?
Yes. There were no changes in the list of major shareholders compared to the last year's one. I also went over the minutes and found agendas related to approval of financial statements and payment guarantee from KDD Holdings on the borrowings from financial institutions. The payment guarantee from KDD Holdings is to be disclosed in the notes.
회계 재무세무에 특화된 영어를 학습하실 분은 유저씨 마켓을 방문해 주세요. 59. 이슈 메모 작성.
Hey Minho. How are you planning to audit the components of the ABC Group holdings?
I'm planning to gain comfort on the procedures the component auditors have taken by basically sending out audit instructions. But I think it will be inefficient to send audit instructions out to every single component, which are about 20. I came up with the total asset ratio as of December 31 last year, and out of the total 18 components, including the parent company, holdings, the top 10 companies having most assets take up 95% of the entire assets.
In that case, let's make a judgment that the remaining components are insignificant as they are of little importance asset-wise and have audit instructions ready just for the top 10 companies having most assets and send them out. Could you draft a brief issue memo on this? This needs to be shared with Bong and the QRP and the kickoff meeting scheduled next Thursday.
How should I prepare an issue memo?
Oh, is it the first time you work on one? Let me send you an issue memo template. Please give a description on the organization and include the latest financial status of the ABC Group. As the background, attach the materiality calculations based on assets, as well as relevant technical references. Let me have a look once you're done.
Alright. Is it okay if I let you see it by the day after tomorrow?
Yeah, that sounds fine. Do let me know if it takes you any longer than that though.
회계 재무세무에 특화된 영어를 학습하실 분은 유저씨 마켓을 방문해 주세요. 60. 미수정 왜곡 표시집 개표 작성.
Minho, are you done with the summary of uncorrected misstatements SUM? Let's go over it.
Yes, I am. Out of the requests made to the management, the inventory misstatement was corrected and the accounts payable misstatement was accepted as it was considered trivial. But the management totally refuses to correct the accounts receivable write-off amounting to 2 billion Korean won that we've requested.
What's as our materiality?
Materiality for the financial statements as a whole, is 2.4 billion and the performance materiality is 1.8 billion Korean won.
The sum of uncorrected misstatements is below yet above PM. If we'd assume that other misstatements may exist that, when aggregated with misstatements accumulated during the audit, the sum may exceed As we need to pull off from the site today, let's get out of here first. Looks like we need to follow up on this on Saturday and I expect everyone to be at the office then.
Oh, really?
I'm afraid to tell you that we need to move on like that. Let me go over the adjusted journal entry on the accounts receivable on Saturday once again. I'll go over the working papers of tangible and intangible assets on my own, too. There seems to be something yet unidentified in those working papers. You didn't notice any exceptions on them, right?
Right. It was Chulsu who worked on those and I didn't find anything strange when I went over it.
Fair enough. Let's call it a day and see you on Saturday after lunch in the office.
회계 재무세무에 특화된 영어를 학습하실 분은 유저씨 마켓을 방문해 주세요.